What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockey Town University. You are here with us finally after a long hiatus. Zack and Derek, buddy, how you been? It's been a long time.
Oh man, a long time coming. Moving, no internet for multiple weeks on end. Finally getting to watch hockey all week this week. It's been a weird emotional setup right now, either being mad at everything or really happy just all last week because I got to watch hockey. Not sure which one I'm feeling today because I'm up way too early because we're recording at 8:30 in the morning, and I don't wake up this early. But doing good, Zach. How you been?
Well, good to hear that you have internet finally. Yeah, I've been kind of hounding you, and I was really confused on your situation. Thank you for staying patient with me and talking me through that. I had a couple drinks that day, so glad to see that you guys finally got it figured out. Hope you enjoy your new place. But yeah, everything's been going well. I was at a prospect tournament, like a bunch of you kind of knew. I couldn't shut up about it. That was a lot of fun. Got to see, obviously, all the prospects. Got to meet Holtman. That was pretty cool. Yeah, just been trying to, when you take off a couple days off of work and you go and have some fun, life just catches up to you at that point, So just been busy myself. And obviously, Matt's been busy too because he's not here on this recording. But like Derek said, it's also 8:30 in the morning. So have fun at work, Matt. We'll see you soon. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into things. Obviously, we have missed a lot. It's probably been feels like it's almost been a month since we last recorded. So
3 weeks, buddy.
Yeah, almost a month, yeah. So we'll quickly go through around the league news and Red Wings news, and then we'll just talk about our main topics, obviously, what we have in the title. So let's go ahead and kick it off there. But before we do, thanks for joining us. If you are returning, thank you for coming back. If you are new, thank you for stopping by. We truly do appreciate it. Why don't you hit that subscribe button? It's like right there. And then why don't you hit the thumbs up button? It's like right there, somewhere around here.
It's around our faces.
If you're also on Spotify, make sure you are rating us 5 stars and you give us that follow. That really does help us out a lot as well. All right, Derek, let's jump into the around the league news. PWHL draft officially kicked off. That happened. Congratulations to all those women that did get drafted. Based on watching Winged Wheel episode, they did have someone come onto their show who actually did get drafted. I believe they got drafted 22nd, and I apologize. I did forget your name. I should have had that written down, but kind of talking about, what's expected, what's going to happen. Pretty soon here, they'll be doing training camp. And then probably towards into next year, beginning of next year is when the season will start. So that's great. Derek, do you have anything you want to talk about on the PWHL?
I mean, all just congratulations to them. I'm glad it's getting started. I'm glad it's kicked off. I feel like later down the road, we'll probably do a little bit more of a more in-depth episode of what the WPHL is going to be and who is all the draft picks and everything like that, just because obviously that alone in itself could be its own episode. So we might see a little short one coming out here about that soon. That's why we're probably not going to go way too in-depth today, but congrats to them. It's an amazing thing, so glad to hear it for them.
Awesome. So, yeah. Next up, we got Mike Babcock basically looking through people's phones and resigning as the head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. He lasted for 2 months, if even. That is, you got to stop looking through people's personal lives, buddy. Why don't you just be a regular person and just ask them? And if you're surprised that he basically, I said resigned, it technically was a resignation. The man got fired for being an idiot. Let's be real. We all knew that this was eventually going to happen, right? And then coming out and him saying that, too many distractions, whatever. And it's like, dude, like you gotta look at yourself in the mirror. Derek, what do you think about Mike Babcock?
Well, the first off, I was surprised anybody wanted him to come back after all the complaints he had from Detroit and from Toronto at both teams, and being Toronto itself one of the most terrifying places to actually play. And you still get kicked out of there. It's like, okay, there's probably going to be a problem if you get brought back. And there was instantly a problem when he got brought back. I used to have high respect for him back in the day, but that was a lot before obviously we knew anything that was going on, especially with the Red Wings. He led us to a couple Stanley Cups, so obviously we liked him for that reason, but you hear a few things that came out of those locker rooms, and then this comes out like that. It's like, buddy, you're a dying age breed of a coach that can't really be doing that anymore. It's like, sorry, but you're done.
Yeah, especially when a lot of the Finn Chicklets were the first ones with Paul Bissonnette were the first ones to actually come out with the news, and everyone was very confused. Everyone was on edge. Immediately, the NHL starts getting involved in it, trying to figure it out, and just so happens that a lot of the younger players were coming out being the ones to say all this stuff, and they were very confused as to why a player with or a coach with, I guess, a high pedigree, he's been around the league for a long time, would do something like this, and these players aren't really into him doing this. It's just not a good look. It's not good for these players, and a lot of these players did not feel comfortable doing this with him, and it was good on Columbus for doing it right. I think their general manager might be next. He's definitely in the hot seat for sure. We'll just have to wait and see how the season goes, but Adam Fantilli looks insanely good. So,
God, that kid out there, he will be on their opening night roster. Don't you worry, because holy crap, that is the most, next to hopefully Danielson up in there, I'd say probably one of the most NHL ready prospects I've seen so far. He surpassed Perdard yesterday. Let me tell you that.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that too here further down into the episode. But yeah, Mike Babcock, you suck. All right, Derek, let's play a game. So there's rumors going around that Atlanta might get another expansion team. That's kind of not in the works, but just kind of like the talking phase right now. A lot of people Utah and like Austin, Texas, or wherever it was in Texas. But would you rather have an expansion team in Atlanta again, or would you put one in San Diego?
Atlanta for days. Bring back the Thrashers, man. San Diego, come on. Cali already has too many teams. They don't need another one.
You actually would put one in Atlanta. I'm shocked at that. Honestly, haven't they had a team twice, or was it just once? Either way, like it was a failed experiment once already, at least. So, like, why again?
It didn't work out well, but I have faith this time. They obviously it's not the biggest hockey state in the United States, but I say get a little diversification in there. Toss one in another state that doesn't have a team already. I want to see that fan base. I want to see who shows up to those crowds in Atlanta. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, supposedly that the news surrounding the Atlanta news is that the city of Atlanta certainly has grown quite a bit since they've had the Thrashers there. I mean, had to have been at least 10 years plus now since the Thrashers were even around, right?
Maybe even more.
Yeah, probably more. I can't remember when they moved over to Winnipeg, but I think having a team in San Diego would be pretty cool. The only issue for that, or at least looking at it in my perspective, would be the traveling. I mean, not saying that it's any different for like Detroit to go to like LA, but like it is a little bit longer, I guess. I mean, I guess that would be my only thing going against it. But I guess Atlanta, I really don't care. I truly think Utah would probably be one of the better spots, but if I had to pick one, I guess Atlanta, since they used to have a team there already. So you kind of already have a fan base. People somewhat like hockey there, I think. I don't know. If you're from Atlanta, let us know if you like hockey, please. All right, Derek. We got a couple of captaincies to announce. Braden Shen named St. Louis Blues captain. Shocked? Not shocked?
Not shocked. That makes sense. I got lie. Most of these are not very shocking at all, especially once you get to the last one. So keep it going.
Yeah. Adam Lowry named Winnipeg Jets captain. This one was a little shocking. Just a middle six forward kind of guy, maybe bottom six forward guy.
From what I've heard, he's always been that very strong, had that good leadership role in the locker room. He may have not been the best player out there, but he's one of those guys that's able to connect with everybody and be able to be a good leader. That's what I've heard. So that's why I thought it made a little bit more sense. Obviously, you don't need to have your top player always be the captain because they might not be that great of a leader. They're just a good player. So it's a little shocking, but at the same time, I think it's a good pick for them.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't always have to be the best player on your team, right? It's got to be someone who's not only good, but someone who connects well with players, like Derek mentioned. So good captaincy for them, for sure. And the last one, Brad Marchand named Boston Bruins captain. Shocked? Not shocked? Not shocked.
Not
Am I
shocked.
happy for it? Am I happy for it? I could care less, but
It's Boston.
or I
Come on.
couldn't care less. But no, good for him. I mean, he definitely deserves it. He's by far the best player, probably the most well-rounded, spoken person, probably on that team, outside of David Pastrnak. Maybe that would be who they give it to next, considering that he has 7 more years on his lucrative deal that he signed 2 years ago. So good for Brad Marchand. Retire after this season, please. We don't want to play anymore. We got what, Derek?
Don't want to get licked anymore.
No more like please. We have a trade to report. This obviously is late news, but Vancouver trades Tanner Pearson and the 3rd-round pick to Montreal for Casey DeSmith. Honestly, good for Vancouver. They got rid of Cap. They only had to give up a 3rd-round pick. Tanner Pearson always seems to be injured, and they get a backup goalie. Good for them. Maybe they can finally be good for Elias Peterson. Like, I feel so bad for Vancouver fans, honestly. Like, it just feels like every year there's just something going on with them. I mean, you go back to Roberto Luongo days. I can't remember who it was with another goalie, and Luongo got so mad that he requested the trade, and then they ended up trading him. So I'm kind of slightly pulling through for you, Vancouver, but I also want Elias Pettersson to come to the Detroit Red Wings. So keep doing that so he can come to us. We'll pay him. We will.
Let all your teams start getting good, but we will take all your best players. That's all we care about.
Hey, that's showbiz, baby. That's showbiz. All right. Sorry, thirsty. Water break. All right. This one's going to be interesting. Maybe we can talk a little bit longer on this one if you want, Derek. But Trevor Zegras and Jamie Drysdale. I think you were the one who put this. Where might they end up? Why haven't they signed their contracts yet? What's going on with that? Me personally, I'm really shocked that neither of them have been signed to their deals. I'm pretty sure the Ducks have well over $30 million still in cap, maybe like $20 million. I just think it's silly. The report was that they were offering Zegras anywhere from $3 to $4 mil. I don't know if that was like for a 1-year deal, 2-year deal, 8-year deal. Either way, that's definitely a low ball, but that's how these negotiations work, right? And that comes down to the general manager, how much he feels that Zegras is worth. Granted, yes, he does put up, 70 points, 60 points, however many points he puts up. The issue with him is I don't see him as a very mature person, let alone a hockey player. He definitely has some on-ice antics. You see him off the ice. I don't know if this is me being a bitter old man, even though I'm really not that old, but I just don't. His attitude doesn't resonate well with me. Maybe that would be different if he was a Red Wing, but I think what the NHL did, what was it, last year or the year before, all the hype that surrounded Trevor Zegras, I think that kind of almost went to his head a little bit, and Anaheim's kind of looking at him and saying, like, look, like, yeah, you're a good player, but, like, you bring a lot of attention that isn't warranted, and you do not play like the center that we thought you were going to. Granted, the production of the team in general hasn't been good for quite some time, so I do feel bad for him. It's almost kind of like the Larkin treatment that Larkin got when he has been a Red Wing for so long. So with Jamie Drysdale, I really don't understand either. I think you could just give him the $3 to $4 mil or maybe even $5 mil for 2 seasons. Just close it out right there. Just get it done. But Derek, what do you think about this whole entire situation with both players?
Well, with Drysdale, I feel like that one should just get closed out, like you said, $2 to $4 million. Get him 2 seasons, see how he does after that. Then that's done. I don't know why that one's taking so long. The Trevor Zegras one, we can tell why it's taking a little bit longer. Obviously, like you said, 3 to 4 million. He just got off his entry-level contract. Again, he is 22 years old. We got to remember this, but he is also quite possibly the best player on Anaheim too. Highest point production last season, I believe he got 65 points, which again, not great, but at the same time, you got to go with what you're given on your team. So Trevor can't do everything all by himself at all times. But at the same time, it's like you're 22. You just got off your entry-level contract. Yes, you're a good player, but there's a lot of other factors that are pulling in there because he's more so just the flash and the bane. I've been noticing a lot more with all his crazy moves. He's able to pass the puck. He's making the plays, but just not enough. And then he does all his stuff off ice, but at the same time, I really don't care about their off ice lives. Obviously, I feel like Trevor is more of one of those Hollywood players a little bit.
Yeah.
He likes the fame. He likes the flash. Everyone keeps posting about his girlfriend. Again, I don't even know who she is, so I'm still very confused on that factor. But apparently, it's a really cool thing. No idea what's happening there. Don't even know her name.
Hey, these professional athletes dating these musical artists or whoever these women are. I mean, look at Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. I mean, even Travis Kelce, he's done more work for the NHL than NHL's marketing team has. He just has to put on an Anaheim Ducks hat, and people go nuts over that. But yeah, Trevor Zegras just needs to work on his defensive game. Honestly, I think that's really what it comes down to. There was a reason why they drafted Leo Carlsson, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they already have Mason McTavish, who's a center. Maybe they look at McTavish and say, this can be our 2C. We can push Trevor Zegras over to the wing when Leo Carlsson comes in and can be our number 1C. So that's something. I really don't understand what's taking so long with these contracts, like I said, but they definitely need to get it done. Do I think that they're going to get moved? I don't think either of these players are getting moved.
No. Zegras is going to be probably one of the franchise players for Anaheim, that's for sure. And even if it's like $3 to $4 million he's getting offered right now, take it for like 2 years. Screw it. Cap's got to go up, and if you actually start doing what you're supposed to do, he's going to make a crap ton more money after that too. So,
right, yeah, 100%. All right, and then we have some sad news. Chris Snow, sports writer, also who turned into an NHL executive, dies after ALS situation. 42 years old. So rest in peace, Chris Snow.
Shout out to all those Flames fans out there because he was their assistant GM as well.
Yeah, very sad news. Very early in life, and just. I'm not sure if it was something that was just found too late or whatnot, but just always make sure that you're going and getting yourself checked, whether if you're male, female, whoever, just make sure you love your loved ones very much. So rest in peace, like we said. All right. It's always weird going on and talking about something else after sad news, but
it's like, well, let's get this vibe back up a little bit.
All right, Red Wings news. We are still doing our community tab of the top 15 U23 prospect pipeline for the Detroit Red Wings. That is on our community tab on YouTube. Go ahead and take those votes for us. We definitely appreciate it. I believe we are on now player 12, so go ahead and make those votes. Well, the notes that I have written down here was going to talk about the prospect tournament. I feel like that's a little late to be talking about now. The only news
in the preseason, it's okay.
Yeah, the only news I really have on here that I can speak on right now. Carter Mazur did get injured during the prospect tournament. He is out 6 to 8 weeks. That really sucks. And Derek had a good one here. He feels old because none of the prospects knew who NSYNC was.
Like, come on, like we're not that much older. Like, I know it's like 10-year gap at this point, but come on. Thank God the equipment manager, that beautiful beard of him, dropped it low for us there at the end. I was like, thank God we had one person. He might be in his 40s, but I don't care.
Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of surprised none of them knew who NSYNC was. I mean, they just based on their facial reactions, looking at NSYNC on the board or however they're looking at it, they're like,
"What's that stand for?
What does that say? Yeah, why is it abbreviated? What does that mean?" Yeah, dude, I don't. These kids, they crack me up. They're so funny. They actually tried them. They're just like, no, not me. No. Boy band? No, we don't get it. All right. Yzerman was in a press conference on 9/19. Basically, what I got out of it, there was a lot, obviously, that he mentioned, but he was asked a question, is this a make-or-break year for the playoffs? He says, absolutely not. This is not a make-or-break year for the playoffs. Would you agree with it?
Oh yeah, because I feel like Yzerman's finally getting to. He started quoting at the pack. I feel like he's starting to get where he wants to be. Like we're not there yet. Obviously, we're probably a year or two, maybe even 3 out from being exactly what he wanted to create with the team. But we're on the way. Like playoff team, I don't know. Like Yzerman said, he isn't even sure of it right now. We have a good core. We have a good team. It's a possibility of making it, but I'm not pushing for that this year like he isn't. So I'm still feeling we're in that towards the end of the rebuild. We're kind of probably where Buffalo was probably a year or two ago. So I feel like if we continue to do, even though I don't like the comparison to Buffalo, but obviously they're in the same time frame as we are basically. Hopefully we're just a little bit quicker. But yeah, I do agree with what Yzerman said. Playoff team, I don't know yet. Not the biggest reason to go pushing for the wins right now. I just say as long as a team can actually find its like components, make sure they're able to actually work as a team, then years after this, we're going to be seeing a lot more production from them.
No, for sure. Yeah, I'll be happy if they make the playoffs. Is that the goal? Like, is that the end all be all this year? You have to make the playoffs? Absolutely not. It's just like you said. I think you look at this year, right? I mean, this is the second year of Lalonde. You basically turned over almost half of the roster in the offseason, which is great, but it almost kind of makes it seem like that you're going back to last year where a lot of these players had to figure out the system, but you have players like Larkin, Raymond, Sider, Wallman, a lot of these players to help teach the new players along the way, right, on what the expectation is and what they have to do to be successful on this team. So do I think that there's a chance to make the playoffs? I think we all do. But when it comes to trade deadline, I think if you're in a spot or you're just outside of a spot and you're trying to decide if you want to buy or sell, I think you would have to sell at that point or just stay pat and just see what happens. Nothing wrong comes with that, right? If you just want to stay pat, that's cool with me. But it all comes down to a lot of different factors like injury as well. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yzerman definitely have a bunch of options this year, so that's a good part. We're so deep, so even if there's injuries, we have players that we've obviously seen this preseason week that can definitely come up, because obviously we can't have everybody on both A and B team come up. But luckily, a lot of players on both sides look great, so yeah, I feel like everything's slowly falling into place. Playoffs aren't end goal for the team. Got to remember, I know it's been 11 years, Red Wings fans. It hurts, but we came off a 25-year stint. We were due for a little bit of a breakdown, and hopefully now we're slowly making it back. So we made it 11 years. We can make it 12 if we have to. It's okay.
Thanks, Ken Holland. We love you so much.
Have fun in Edmonton.
Oh, boy. All right, training camp. Let's see. I have some notes here. Matt Luff also got injured. I don't think he's actually come back ever since that injury.
He has not, and they have not said a lot on it. They said it wasn't anything too serious, but haven't heard anything since then from Derek.
Cautionary issues. So, yeah, I mean, Matt Luff went through quite a bit of series of injuries last year where one, he basically had to get reconstructive surgery on his face almost. Not exactly, but it was pretty bad. He got boarded pretty good in the face and kind of messed him up for a while. But other than that, nothing on training camp. Like I said, you guys probably already know the deets since we're really behind on recording and giving you guys content here. So
we're back. Don't worry, everybody.
We're back. All right. So last week, since it's Monday, so technically last week, preseason began on Tuesday against Pittsburgh Penguins. That's when the team announced that Larkin, Alex DeBrincat, and Raymond will play on the line together, and that was per Coach Lalonde. Derek, let's talk about that top line for a second now that we're going into our main topics here. How has the top line looked to you?
Well, let's be honest. The first game, I didn't expect anything from them. because obviously their first game together, first ever actually being on the ice against another team, they did pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
They had great puck movement. They had great passing. And then that second game, even though we haven't gotten into it yet, but the second game against the Capitals, holy crap. The tic-tac-toe passes they had, it was just so pure. We looked like a true first NHL line out there. And I was just like, this is what I've been waiting for since we lost Henrik and Datsu. Go back in those days. I'm like, finally, this is looking good. I am very content with what I'm seeing on this line. Like, obviously, there's some components in here that could get moved around. We're not 100% sure. Nothing's set right now. But at the same time, we're probably looking at our first line for the Red Wings with those three guys out there. Because I think altogether between them, what was it, like 10 points in 2 games?
Yeah, 9 points. So Larkin has 3 goals total. Alex DeBrincat has 4 assists, and then Raymond has 2 assists. I mean, with Raymond not having a goal, that's okay. Adding the weight definitely seems to be paying off for him. He looks, not only did he add weight and strength to his frame, he looks faster out there. He looks like that he's a lot harder to get off the puck. He looks like he's doing a lot better in those board battles. But going back to, kind of like what you were talking about, the crisp passing, and then like the goals that Larkin's being able to put in thanks to Alex DeBrincat. Not only once, but twice in 2 separate games did they do I don't even know what kind of across the goal crease passing to put them, burying them into the net with Larkin
Perfect spot for Larkin. His feet were on the other side of the goal line. Even his stick was just out there. I'm like, that's exactly what he's supposed to be doing. Like, 2 of those goals are beautiful. Oh,
and they were both the exact same goal. They literally were the exact same goal. And we talked about it, and I think it was in our last episode that we recorded 3 weeks ago, Derek. I think we were, or it might have been the one before that, we were talking about over-unders. And if this is something that continues going into the regular season where Alex DeBrincat feeds Larkin like this, or it's the opposite way around, they just swap back and forth, I really do think that Dylan Larkin can get to 100 points, if not 90. And I also think that he can break 35 plus goals if this is how it's going to look. It's just crazy how good that they look out there. Would you agree with me on that, or are you still kind of on the fence and you want to see a little bit more?
Yo, at this point, I was already saying that he could probably hit 100, and I was already going over the fact that DeBrincat will probably get over 90. At this point, I don't care if they're like both sides are just one side's goal, one side's assist. If you guys work that well together, and you can literally just feed somebody the puck nonstop, and you're that ultimate playmaker, and you have an ultimate goal scorer, I am content. I don't need DeBrincat to score 40 goals this season. If he has, we said, I'm pretty sure last episode, if he has 70, 80 assists, I'm going to be okay with that. Because guess who has 40, 50 goals? Larkin.
Right.
It's going to be an okay back and forth from what it looks like right now. I know it's early. It's been 1 week of preseason games. I'm just very hopeful at this point because it's looked pretty nice.
Yeah, by no means are we celebrating, the goals or the wins that we're getting because they've only lost 1 game so far out of the 4 that they played in. But the early looks heading into the season look very promising in terms of not elite talent, but the added talent that Steve Yzerman has added to this team and how Lalonde has been able to implement these players into the lineups. Granted, you do have Team A, which is Larkin, DeBrincat, Raymond, Seider, Wallman, etc. Team B, you have players like Fabry, Raz, Comfort, Kopp, whoever it is, and so both teams are looking phenomenal. But let's talk about, speaking of Raz, does he make the top 6 this year, leading the team with, let's see, I have it down, 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points, tied with Alex DeBrincat. But those 3 goals, I mean, he was able to get a couple last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. I mean, he's looking a lot better than he did last year. Again, we're early, don't know what's going on. Obviously, he is on the B team side right now with everything. Not saying that's bad at all. Again, we have all our players except obviously our first main line, which is on the A team. Probably the only reason that's the A team. But from what it's looking like right now with the people that are around him and how he's playing, he's coming out of his shell, that sophomore slump from last year. I'm not seeing any little signs of it at all right now. Hopefully that continues through the actual season.
And I wouldn't even call that like a sophomore slump. Like at first, at the beginning of the season, yeah, he needed to hit a stride a little bit. But right before the injury, I mean, I think it was that stretch where we were on those West Coast games. He just had a stretch where he was the best player out on the ice, minus Larkin at one point. I mean, he was just everywhere. The puck gravitated to him, and it was just a huge sigh of relief for a lot of fans because a lot of people had Rasmussen written off. I'm including myself in that. I was one of those people who had self-doubts about Michael Rasmussen, and he finally started turning it around where I think he got used to his body. He was able to get a lot faster and was able to be that player that he was in junior and able to translate that into the NHL, being the net front presence guy, being the guy who gets in people's faces and gives them the serial killer eyes that we like to talk about all the time, where he's just like bug-eyed like this, right? Like
he's terrifying. I love it.
Yeah, he's a terrifying man. I love it too, and we need players like that. But no, he's kicking off the preseason just how he left before getting injured last season, right? But yeah, let's see if he can produce more. I think he played just under 55 games or something like that last year, and he put up 29 points. I would love to see him get in the 40, 50-point range. If he can do that this season, he might continue to get even better.
I mean, that's second line numbers too. So at that point, he would be top six instead of even middle six. Well, I mean, obviously it's still middle six, but top six.
Yeah, because the line yesterday was Rass, Comfer, and Perron. I can't remember who was on his line. I believe
Perron was out there. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that would be a great top six line. Your second line. I think that would be great. You'd also be okay with that being your third line, your middle six line.
That's a stacked third line. I can tell you that much right now.
Yes, it is.
Pretty happy if that's what our third line had to look like. I'm like, okay, we have a lot of players we can play at pretty much any time. Sweet.
So let's talk about a newer face, someone who was recently drafted this year by the Detroit Red Wings at number 9, and that would be Nate Danielson. Is he
very confused there?
The opening roster, Derek?
I can see it. He's shown a lot of potential for an 18-year-old who just got drafted. Like I said in the beginning of the show, he's looking better than Bernard was on the ice last night. Taking the puck away from him, stopping him. Obviously, everybody likes to go back to that one reel. Everybody wants to keep posting about him deking Edmondson. It's like, cool. He missed still. That was his only good move of the night.
Hey, that was still a sweet deke. He made Edmondson buckle in the kneecaps, bro. Like, no offense to Edmondson.
I'm not taking anything away from the deke. It was a solid deke. But they still lost 1-6, and he missed. And that was the only thing for the night he did. I'm like, it makes me happy because he was playing the Red Wings. I'm like, yes, utter destruction. Let's go. Keep Chicago down where they're supposed to be. But back to the Nate Danielson side, it's possible. I could see him probably sneaking into the fourth line, at least if worst comes to worst, at least getting his 9 games in. I can easily see that happening just because he's kind of reminds me of Adam Fantilli out there a little bit. One of the most NHL ready guys, body wise, skating wise. Fantilli definitely has a little bit better of the puck control out there, which I want to see Danielson get a little bit better at too. So that's why I don't think he's going to jump right into the opening roster. I think he needs to have a little bit more done, but I do think he'll get those 9 games in this season, no matter what. The next year, probably, if he gets everything, his hands worked on, gets that shot down, 4th, 3rd line center, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
If the 2023 draft happened 2 years ago and the Red Wings were able to draft Nate Danielson would be making this team 10 times.
100%. Yes.
The team is so, like we mentioned earlier, Yzerman went in and made this team more deep and surrounded the team with more talent. This is going to be tough for Steve Yzerman to make and for Lalonde to make, right? Because Danielson is doing everything in his power to show them that he can be a top 6 center in this league, even right now at the age of, he just turned 19 recently, like a couple days ago. So like Derek said, 18, 19 years old. With 1 goal, 2 assists so far. He's played in 3 games, so he's a point per game right now. It is just preseason. You're mainly going up against AHL caliber players. But still, for an 18, 19-year-old, that's damn impressive, right? And yeah, much like Derek mentioned, he made Bedard his dog, basically, just kind of outshined him a little bit. In my perspective, I think he outshined Connor Bedard. Towards the end of the game, he was able to strip the puck away from him, kind of create a scoring opportunity for Simon Edvinsson, who barely missed. And then there were a couple other key moments where he actually was the one who was a main contributor to the Daniel Sprong goal, which was the first goal of the game, where he was able to not cycle the puck, but just the puck just gravitated towards him, dude. The whole entire game. He looked really, really good out there. And he just knows where to be out on the open ice when he doesn't have the puck on his stick. He just has so much awareness and hockey IQ that will make him be a great top 6 center in the league. And for me to answer the question, does he make an opening night roster? I actually do think so. I think that he makes the opening night roster. I think he plays maybe not the full 9 games, but I think that they look at him. Nate Danielson already came out in an interview. I think it was after his second game. All the reporters interviewed him. And Nate Danielson did say, that he does plan on going back to the Brandon Wheat Kings. But no one ever mentioned when that was going to happen. Personally, I did think that it was going to happen after like the first or second game because his team's already playing in games. I'm pretty sure when that interview happened, they played like 3 or 4 games already. So he is staying in constant communication with those coaches to make sure, how the team's doing, what they want him to do when he comes back. But I think the Red Wings, Steve Yzerman, Lalonde, look at him and say, we want him to be as properly prepared for the NHL as he can be by giving him those 9 games and then going back to Brandon won't only just make him that much better at Brandon, but coming into the season next year, going through the whole 9 yards, preseason, prospect tournament, everything like that, training camp, coming out of preseason, I think he makes the team. And he's a full, 82-game roster player. I really do think that for next season. And I do think that he plays at least 9 games this season. Okay, at max 9 games. I will be shocked if he plays more than 9, but because of the CHL and NHL agreement, whatever it is, it's either NHL or go back to the WHL. He can't go play with the Grand Rapids Griffins, unfortunately. And if he's this good now, I don't see why you're putting him in Grand Rapids next year. But Derek, here's a tough question for you that I saw someone post online, and it made me intrigued. Has Nate Danielson already passed prospects like Marco Kasper and others in development? Is he more highly touted in our prospect pool than Kasper, Edvinsson, and some of these other players like Soderblom as well? You can even throw in there. Is he already that well deep into it?
That's a really good question. Whoever asked that is thinking a little too hard because I did not want to think about that one this morning yet. But goddamn. Again, from what we've seen, it's preseason, obviously, prospect tournament and whatnot. So we're not seeing the full teams out there, not seeing what he actually goes against when he has to go against someone out of his league, technically, at that point. We don't know what that really is because obviously when we drafted him, his ceiling was just unknown. This is one of those guys that we're like, okay, he has a good leadership. He has a good movement. He knows he has good hockey IQ. And that's why we got him. And at the same time, right now, we're seeing that he is showing a lot of NHL-ready qualities. So it's one of those things. It's like, okay, we know we haven't seen a lot, But from what we're seeing, he might actually be ahead of these guys right now in our prospects. Especially with like Casper Edson. For some reason, it just feels a little different with him. It feels like he knows the game already. He understands what he's supposed to do out there. There's a couple things he has to tweak, obviously, which we all expect every prospect coming in, even if you're number one like Bernard, there's some things you got to tweak when you come into the NHL.
Yeah.
But like he said, I feel like he is probably one of the most NHL ready players out there right now. And I think that is surpassing like a lot of our prospects right now too. So I wouldn't be surprised if I saw Danielson get called up before some of these other guys did this year. How's that going to feel for morale for them, though? I don't know. But obviously, they have to go with the fact that they can see how he's playing. If it's better than them, that means they just got to work harder, too.
Yeah. And in terms of, I guess we could start off with just points. I mean, someone like Casper, he only has 1 point. He has 1 assist so far. And I get it. Like, this is just preseason. So, like, you can't account success with just how many points you put up, right? Like, especially for centers, right? There's a lot that goes into it. How much are you doing on the 200-foot side? Are you going back and back checking? Are you doing good on the forward checking? Are you, battling for the pucks? Are you keeping pucks away from the opposing team, I think Casper, in that sense, has that edge on Danielson right now. I think Casper looks really good being that 200-foot player. I mean, he got in a tussle with Anthony Mantha, which I thought was the most hilarious thing. I was like, Mantha, what are you doing? You have 50 pounds on this dude, and you have like 3 or 4 inches of height on him as well. You are now almost 30 years old fighting a 19-year-old, 20-year-old. What are you doing, my dude? You got glass hands. You know that. Why are you doing this in a preseason game? All because you got whacked in the knee or whatever by a stick by Casper, and then you did the same thing to him. Good props on Marco Casper for doing that. Honestly, I know he didn't really get to throw a punch, but he definitely got to shove his hand in his face a little bit, give him a little eye gouging. So that was pretty cool. But
I mean, that's probably the best thing he would get out of that fight anyways, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah. It was probably top 10 worst fight in the NHL that has ever happened, by far. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'd love to hear from you guys what you guys thought about the fights. But no, I think Casper has Danielson in that regard. But this is something that typically seems to happen, right? Is that when someone enters, whether if it's preseason or the regular season, other teams don't have the knowledge of who you are as a player yet, right? So they don't have the scouting report yet. And so this is Danielson's way of saying, okay, I have a slight advantage over these teams because they don't know how I play, who I am as a player. Like I mentioned, Danielson just really knows how to be on the where to be at on the ice, and the puck just gravitates to him, which is a bit of a skill, but also a bit of luck at the same time. But I'm leaning more towards skill for him because it seems to happen a lot, right? Like where it's not like where Philip Zadina would get the puck and then like he's just unlucky because he can't score, right? No, Danielson is actually doing a really good job putting himself in position in situations to where he has a shooting opportunity or a good passing lane to give. His shooting could probably use a little work, maybe. His defensive skills need a little bit of work too, but obviously, being the 18, 19-year-old that you are, you're going up against men, full grown men, like fully grown men that are in their 30s like me, and they're getting gray hairs already. So they're just out muscling him a little bit, even though he's 200 pounds already. But no, I there's a lot going on with Danielson, and I do think that in terms of him being higher than Casper, I would say they're neck and neck right now. After this season, I might be saying something completely different. It all depends on Casper's AHL debut if he doesn't make the NHL roster, and then how much better can Danielson play going into the WHL after all this preseason training camp, prospect tournament, wazoo. So, looking forward to that. But let's go into the final topic that I wanted to discuss, Derek, and it's talking about the young D-men that are doing their best to make cases to make the team, like Edvinsson, Wallander, and Tuomisto. Edvinsson, don't foresee him making the opening night roster.
Is it just because he broke an ankle last night?
No, no, but oh my goodness. No, that's not the main reason why I'm not putting him on there. I mean, there are 7 other defensemen or 6 or 7 other defensemen ahead of him. Well, and I'm not going to say it's only because they have NHL experience, but I think because of the shoulder surgery, you just want him to progress in the AHL a little bit more. Not saying that he's never going to get called up. It'll come down to injuries, but he's truly making a case. You know, he's got 2 assists. And I think he's played in 3 games, 2 or 3 games now. He's got 2 assists. He looks good out there, but the defensive part of it, he's still kind of learning. A couple of times where he's getting the puck kind of taken away, or where he's relying on that reach to kind of help him out, and that was something that I nitpicked a little bit.
Yeah, I've been noticing that a lot too, especially when all 3 games. Now he has got a big body, so his reach does help, but not really this much in this league anymore. Like, people are able to skate around that reach, and if you're stuck reaching, you're not moving your feet anymore, and they go right around him. It's that hard, like, give or take. Like, you got to be able to move your feet and keep your body going, and then use the magic wand at the same time. Like, he has a massive reach. He probably has almost 10 feet of reach on that guy. If he's moving his feet, he has like a 20-foot diameter that people just can't get past him. It's like, that's all he has to do. And it's like, that's one big thing Edvinsson has to fix right now. He has to use that big old body of him. His, whatever.
Same thing. It's all the same. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, just use the body a little bit more. You got to start moving your skates, though. You can't just rely on gliding and using your stick to poke the puck away from the opposing player. That's going to get you burned quite a few times, and you just got to be really quick, right? His first stride has to be really explosive. He needs to just work on the defensive game, get a little more explosive, and that'll come with time, since he had a lot of time missed during the summer with that off-season shoulder surgery. William Wallander, honestly, I can't remember if it was last night's game or if it was Saturday's game, but there were a couple instances where there was space that he was looking for, and whenever he had the puck on his stick, he looked like he wanted to fly out there, Derek. I kid you not. I mean, he looked really good when he got the puck on his stick. I mean, there were a couple opportunities where he just wanted to go from the defensive zone, crossing the blue line into the offensive zone, and kind of just play like he did in the Swedish Hockey League for Rogla. And that made me really, really excited. I was like, he's going to be a lot better than people think that he's going to be in the NHL. If he just learns how to find that kind of vice and learns how to use his edges, I saw Quinn Hughes in him, almost kind of like a Walmart version of Cale Makar in him too. I thought he looked fantastic. What do you think about Wallander?
I mean, I would like to see a defenseman like him up in the league right now. Like, obviously, you said it, Makar, even like going on to Art Carlson, like, he's an offensive defenseman. We already knew that we knew that's what we were getting when we got him in. And that's kind of what the team needs. We're stacked full of defensemen, but a lot of them are very good defensive defensemen. I mean, Sider's trying to pop in there. We got Goss to spare now, who would rip a shot from the top point, but we definitely need somebody who can go from end to end with the puck too. Like, obviously, we don't need a bunch of these D on our team. You don't want too many 200-foot defensemen like that. It's just not really what you do in that position. But having 1 or 2 guys that can just take the puck out, carry it down, and make a play, Wallander is definitely one of those people I think is going to be able to do that for us. And from what he showed so far, it's not looking too bad. May need a little extra work here, probably with just keeping the puck under control a lot. That's what I've seen a little bit. It's a little bouncing. But his footwork, fantastic for a defenseman. I love to see it out there. A lot of speed, a lot of control there. It's looking pretty good in that direction for him, too. Will he make it this year? Not 100%. I could definitely see next year being more realistic. But barring injury, barring things happening with the league, barring what he does when the league starts, definitely get called up and just make a couple little appearances and see what he can do.
always comes down to the injuries. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, this will be his North America debut. So good luck to him in Grand Rapids, assuming that's where he's going to start. And I'm pretty sure that's where it's going to be. And then finally, Tuo Misto has a really, really good shot. I mean, he did it in the prospect tournament. He did it in training camp. And now he's doing it in preseason. I have him down for 1 goal. I could have sworn that he had 2 points, but maybe it's just the goal. But
Yep, just
he's
one
always
goal.
scoring. He's always scoring. A right-handed shooting defenseman too, I'm pretty sure. So you always need those, right? And we're kind of falling behind in that category. Yes, we have Axel Sandin Palika, but who's also having a really hot start in the Swedish Hockey League. I'm pretty sure in 5 games he's already got 3 goals. So keep that up, Palika, ASP. We love you, buddy. But no, what do you think about Tuo Misto and his shots? And this was a player who originally was with the University of Denver, who won that championship with Carter Mazer and Shia Bouillum, and then he ended up going back overseas, and then now he's playing with Grand Rapids. So, are we low? Like, in terms of a Red Wing fan, were we just super low on Tuo Misto and just not aware of how good of a shot he had and how good defensively he actually is? Because he looks really good out there. I really do think in the next year or two he could be making the team as a right-handed shooting defenseman.
I mean, to be honest with you, Zach, yeah, I think everybody kind of just forgot who he was, what he could do. Like, no one really paid attention to it. Obviously, I wish we got one more game in than just the one game he did in the preseason game so far, so we can see a little bit more. The one game he was there, he was taking rockets. What was it? I know he got 1 goal, but what? 3? He was +3. Jesus Christ! So that's even more beautiful to see out there. I wish this would tell me how many shots he had, but he had definitely more than that. Just 1 clap on that he stuck in the back of the net. So his skill is there. I don't really. How do you know what his age range is right now? I know he's probably 22.
22 or 23.
So the really good thing about
No, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
I think he was.
I was going to say, this is the real good thing about all these guys. They're still super young.
Yeah.
And we got to remember, defense and goalies, usually goalies a little bit more than defensemen, it takes some time. It takes some time to find your footing in the league, especially going against top-ranking players that could literally, as Edvinson found out, break your kneecaps. But it's just one of those things that you got to get in tune to a little bit more. And all these guys are young, early 20s. Got a lot of time, and even if they don't make the league this year, I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot more of these guys coming up the year after, just because obviously we have a lot of defensemen on 1-year deals that are just here basically to fill gaps, while these guys kind of come up in the ranks. I feel like, I don't know if that's Yzerman's entire plan that he set into place, but I'm like, he has some good fill-ins for when these good players are actually ready to jump in the league. So is that right? I don't know, but I kind of feel like they're, like you said, they're on their way up. I feel like every one of these guys is going to make it into the league at some point. Hopefully with us.
Yeah, hopefully with us. I was just thinking about that. I was like, oh boy, like half of these players that we keep on talking about could be traded by the time that they're actually ready to make the roster. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But I didn't have this one written down, but Derek, I guess we could take some time to talk about the goalies that have played. So you've had Kosa, Lyon, Reimer, Husso, and then Michael Hutchinson playing that so far, which I will be shocked if he actually is extended a contract. But Kosa, well, I guess we'll just kind of start with him, or we'll just talk about all of them collectively. Kosa looked all right. I don't have any of the stats pulled up. I don't know how many goals he let in. I thought he looked all right. I'm pretty sure he played in the game that we lost against the Washington Caps. It was 4-3. I'm pretty sure that he let in 2 or 3 goals, but and the Red Wings were able to crawl back up. They were down 4-1. Robbie Fabry scored 2 goals, but no, I thought Kosa looked all right. Each goalie gets to play like a period and a half. I really don't know what you want to take away from that. It definitely was a better outing than when he showcased in the prospect tournament, maybe even in training camp. But Kosa has been a lot of people are on edge on Kosa. Huso looks fantastic. I also think that Reiner and Line both look fantastic. In terms of just one question I could ask you, Derek, who do you think is going to be the backup goalie? Is it going to be? I want to hear your take on all the goalies as well.
Well, that was nice, and thank God that the Fox Sports app that I'm using has all the goalie stats too. So I'll give you a little breakdown because we had 6 goalies play. Because I forgot Badir played 2. Bednar. Yeah, I was like, wait, this is a lot. But so we had Huso played 1 game, got the win. 16 shots against, 15 saves, ended up with a .938 out of our goalies. Obviously, you can tell that's probably the best one. Did pretty well that when I'm pretty sure probably only half a game, but still not bad at all. You got James Reimer with 2 games, 1 win, 21 shots and 19 saves. Because last night he didn't let any goals in his half game he was in against Chicago. Not bad at all. With a .905% saves. And Benier, 1 game, 1 win, 13 shots, 12 saves with a .923. Second highest, actually, from the guy that we didn't really talk about that much ever.
Did you say what player?
Benier? How do you say his name?
Bednar?
Yes. I can't say names, okay? It's hard. I'm reading off the
I was
screen.
trying to say Bernier. I was like, he's not even on our team. Hasn't been in like 2
Bedard. Yeah, got Reimer and Bedard and like put them together. Whatever, ignore me. But don't, because you're listening to me right now. Then we got Hutchinson. 1 game, 13 shots, 12 saves, .923, same as Benier. Actually, that's not bad at all. Lyon got 2 games. Doesn't say he got any wins, but with 32 shots and 29 saves. So Lyon got the most work, and most of that work probably came from last night, as we saw, because he was pretty much standing back on his head. And then Kosa, not looking great, with 14 shots, 12 saves, and a .857. Not terrible, but at the same time, could have done a lot better. But go back to your question, Zach. If I think someone's going to start, because obviously we see Reimer and Lyon playing the most, actually, out of everybody right now. So you can probably tell that they're trying to see who they want to start. And man, it's kind of hard. Reimer was looking good last night. I'll give him that. No shots in, but Lyon, even though he let 1 goal in, he is moving. He is fast. He jumps on his head. He gets low. He gets into those corners. Man, if I was going to go off it right now, I say Lyon might be our best bet. Just because of how much more activity it seems he's getting. And after what I saw him do with Florida last year, pretty much getting them into the playoffs, standing on his head then. Even though Reimer has a lot more experience, I probably would go towards Lyon a little bit more. I feel like it's going to be split 50-50 because if you saw their stats at the end, it was .905 and .906 were their save percentages. So that was in 2 games. They're basically just doing the same, just Lyon just had a lot more shots on them. Probably 12 or 13 more.
Okay, so you're saying more so Lyon for the. Okay, that's great. Would you be interested in taking 3 goalies and putting them on the roster since you have Lyon, who's on a 2-year deal? I don't think it's a 2-way. Actually, I think it is. I could be wrong. Anyways, but yeah, would you have three goalies on your roster to start the season? I mean, you look at last season, you saw the shit show that happened. I mean, you had Hellberg and Nedeljkovic that just couldn't do anything, and you had poor Billy Huso, who's out here playing back-to-back games and getting sick or injured, whatever one it was, and then having to come in and them saying like, well, sorry, you're injured. We need you to play because our backups suck. Is that a possibility?
I mean, if we're going to look at last year as the planned action for this year, you would probably want to do that just because we do not want a recap of what happened last year with poor Huso. Like, that just doesn't need to happen again. We need to have players that are going to be able to continuously work and be able to feed in for him when he's not there. But again, that takes a roster spot up if we want to have somebody else get put into. And the fact is we have 2 goalies that are very much more decent, I would have to say, than what we had last year. Even though Ned, not the worst goalie in the world, not the best either, but wasn't the worst, but wasn't what we needed.
So you're saying that. So you're saying that you would have 3 or you wouldn't? I'm sorry.
I'm really tiptoeing around it so much because I don't want to answer because I'm not too sure.
No, I get
I'm
what
trying
you're
to put
saying.
out all my options.
I get what you're saying, though. Yeah, it definitely takes up a roster spot. I mean, there's even talks how, the team could potentially be leaning towards, typically it's 12 forwards, 6 defense, 2 goalies, whatever, and then the rest are just kind of sitting there. But there's talks saying that you go the 11 forwards, 7 defensemen, and then you could do 2 goalies. I might have to edit this part out because here I am just mumbling in my words. Like, I don't even know.
I know, right? Isn't this hard? Like, I don't know either.
I would go with 3 only because, like, I think that the way you go is obviously, like, you ride the hot hand if Husso has a hot hand, right? So, like, if he keeps on winning, you just keep on going with him. But I also think that what you could do is that, if you want to give Husso a break, then the way that you do that is, and so that way he doesn't burn out as quickly, because last year he was the MVP the first half of the season, right? So one thing that I would do is that if you have 3 goalies, let's say you have Husso play three games in a row, right? No back-to-backs or anything. And then you let the other 2 goalies play 1 game and then let the other one play the other. And then you ride Husso for another 3 again, right? I think that would be a good way to do it. So every 5 games, Husso plays 3, 1 goalie gets 1. The other one gets the other. I think that would be a great way to rotate. And then eventually over time, like maybe within like the 10th or like the 15th game, that's when you say, okay, do we really need 3 goalies right now? Because now we're starting to get injuries based on other players, and we need that added depth. I think it's a crapshoot on who you think is going to be better out of Reimer and Lyon. But I mean, looking at Lyon and his pedigree, he was the one who snuck the Florida Panthers into the playoffs. So maybe he has that magic touch, and he could do that for us this upcoming season. But Reimer has that experience, right? He's kind of an older guy, and he knows fully well what to expect being a backup. I mean, he's even been a starter multiple times for specific teams. So I'm sticking with going with 3. Unless it came down to, do we really need Nate Danielson on the team? Then I'm going 2 goalies, and I want Nate Danielson.
Yeah, Nate, you come up. Sorry, we're gonna skip a goalie for a while.
Yeah, so I think that's where I'm headed with it. But last question, Derek, and then we can close off. Do you have any surprises so far from this preseason? Has anyone really surprised you? Even if we talked about them, who are you most surprised about?
Honestly, the one that I am, just because I nonstop hear his name, he hasn't put up many points, hasn't done a crazy, like, besides his energy on the ice and his, like, attitude and his, pretty much his, like, compete. That's what I was going, is compete on the ice. Lombardi. That has been a name that just keeps popping up nonstop. You don't see him scoring a bunch of goals, but you see him making these fantastic passes, making the open guys. You can't do anything when the other person doesn't score when you pass him the puck, but he is getting in there. He's kicking people's butts. He's throwing hits. I'm like, this is a lot of work from a guy that I was really hoping was going to be showing this amount of work. Blew up in the OHL, and now he's ready to try to move up. Do I think he's going to make the opening roster? Probably not, unfortunately, but truthfully, I just want to see him keep going because he's like one of those Cinderella stories that came out of nowhere. It's like, okay, buddy, you're showing that hard work actually pays off. And if he keeps putting that work in, screw being that small, like he'll go out there and just dominate the ice with his speed and skill, and he'll still hit people. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there was one instance in last night's game. He stole the puck clean from Bedard as well. Bedard had a couple of times where the puck was taken from him. And you're right, Lombardi looked really good in last night's game. In general, I do think that this is one of those dominant players. I mean, you find those eventually, right? 4th-round pick a couple of years back, and yeah, he destroyed it in the OHL, and now he's trying to translate that going into the AHL this upcoming season. You're right, he's probably not going to make the roster this year. It's just too deep. But he looked really good last night. Probably one of the better players. Cross Hannes also looked really good. I guess I'll answer the question too. Is that very surprised by what Cross Hannes has been able to do? I believe he did get a goal last night. He has 2 points total. He has an assist. He made a really nice spin move last night too to like dodge a hit, which I thought was really cool. He's just one of those weird players that's just like he's super skilled, um, but in not the ways that I guess you would like understand. Like he's just very situationally aware about what's happening out on the ice. Um, he's got a lot of skill in general. I really don't know how to describe it other than he's just a very skilled player. He's just a unicorn. He's almost like Elmer Soderblom in that sense, just not as tall, right? Um, I love what he brings to the table. There was a lot of concerns with him because he was selected in the second round of the draft in 2020, maybe 2019. I can't remember. Um, and so a lot of people were nervous that he was kind of not a bust, but like someone that like probably could have been taken later, like hasn't been producing like he was supposed to. But they spoke pretty highly of him, and he was doing pretty well up until his injury last season, playing with the Grand Rapids Griffins. I'm pretty sure he was like half a point per game player. So hopefully he can take that moving forward and translate that into a closer to a point per game player or continue that pace that he was doing. And eventually I do think that he makes the Red Wings roster, whether that's, I don't think it would be next year, but maybe in like 2 to 3 years, if he just keeps on improving or, just shows Steve Yzerman, Lalonde that he belongs on the team, then he'll do whatever it takes. But I'll never forget like the highlight reel of him scoring the Michigan goal. Like that's what made me most excited for him, and hopefully he can bring that actually to the NHL and be our next Trevor Zegras or something. So we'll just have to wait and see. Did you have anyone else that you wanted to spotlight real quick that you were impressed with or surprised? Maybe
I mean,
Daniel
luckily,
Sprong.
DeBrincat surprised me a little bit with all of his assists. Like, honestly,
Okay.
we slightly got him for his goal scoring capabilities, and he's out there literally being the playmaker of the fucking week for us. It's like I said, I'm not upset. I'm not upset at all. Like either way, go back and forth with the assists or the goals. You can have either of them as long as you get a lot of them.
And that's what Lalonde said. He was like, I was very like surprised. Like I knew that he was a very good goal scorer. He said this. He's like, I knew that he was a very good goal scorer, but one thing that I was surprised about was his ability to what's the word I want to use? It's not produce. It's I can't think of the word, but yeah, he's just a very skilled player, and he could produce scoring opportunities for other players, and he's doing that for Dylan Larkin, right? I mean, he's got 4 assists. 2 of his assists come from Larkin goals. I can't remember exactly where the other ones came from, but anyways, yeah, I think that that's great. But I would say for me, Daniel Sprong too. He's got 2 goals, 1 assist. He's played in 2 or 3 games as well, and that dude, he's going to get 20+ goals again this season. I just don't see how it's not going to happen. And this is a player where you can make the case where he's playing in the top 6 or middle 6. I would be super surprised if he falls on the 4th line. Honestly, I don't know where you're going to put him. There's a lot of competition here. One player that I am a little down on, I'm going to do this a little bit, is I really wanted to see more out of Jonathan Berggren. I know that he's got 2 assists so far. I
just not making the splash you're expecting.
It just does not look like he just kind of like I don't see an uptick in what he was doing last year going into this year. So I don't see I guess improvement, which I know is wrong. I'm sure he's definitely improved, but it still just kind of looks like he doesn't have the killer instinct that I would like for him to gain. Very much still like a composed player where he gets the puck into past the blue line into the offensive zone, stops, waits, thinks about it, and then passes it. But I'm noticing that players and teams are closing down on him a lot faster because they already know what he's doing. So he's definitely going to hit a sophomore slump. But I do think that he is an odd man looking in. He's an odd man out looking in on the roster right now. For me, I would not be surprised if he doesn't make the team. Honestly, I would not. Is there anyone that you're kind of low on right now currently, or that you're kind of sad that hasn't done a little bit more?
Kosa. I've been riding this train for like 2 years now, and oh my goodness, I was so okay, I wasn't unhappy. I know it's only half a game they're playing. He only played one half a game. He did let 2 goals in, but at the same time, watching him back in the prospect tournament too, it didn't look too great there either. I was expecting after his last season in the ECHL with the walleye coming up here, I'm like, okay, he was able to produce. He got over that little slumpy head in the Grand Rapids for the first few games when they brought him down. I'm like, cool, that's a good sign. Watched him play, I'm like, not the sign I was really looking for there. Like, I feel like a few of these goals shouldn't be going in, but he's a goalie. Like I just said, defense and goalie take a lot longer. Goalies in particular, he's 23 years old. He's got some time still. I'm going to anticipate, again, probably going to go to Grand Rapids just because of what he did last year. Definitely won't make the team this year, obviously, for what he's shown us so far.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with Costa. I mean, Loki would not be surprised if they put him back in Toledo. Just be the full-time starter there. Obviously, it would be better if he was off in the Grand Rapids. I think that that's just better for his development, and he just needs to be surrounded by those types of people and those types of players. I mean, I just don't want another Philip Zadina or Evgeny Svechnikov or Dennis Chalowski, please, especially at goaltending. But all right, Derek, I think we can wrap it up here. Basically, what I'm going to do now is just kind of go through all the points that all these players have scored. Every player that's at least recorded a point. You got Larkin at 3 goals, Alex DeBrincat 4 assists, Raymond 2 assists, Seider 2 goals, Danielson 1 goal, 2 assists, Gostisbehere 2 assists, Rasmussen 3 goals, 1 assist, Edvinsson 2 assists, Wallander 1 assist, Berggren 2 assists, Hirose 1 assist, Sprong 2 goals, 1 assist, Mata 2 assists, Fabry been looking really good, 2 goals, 1 assist, Zarnik got a goal, Hannes has 1 goal, 1 assist, Kopp 1 assist, Hall 1 assist, who actually looks pretty good out there. Toronto fans, you're going to suck in. You're going to eat our words that he's going to be way better for us than you. Comfort, 1 goal, 2 assists. Soderblom, 1 goal. Lombardi, 1 assist. Tuomisto, 1 goal. Veleno, you need some work, bud. I should have talked about you. 1 assist. Casper, 1 assist. Perron, 2 assists. Go, Daddy Pete! All right, buddy. You got any? Let's go ahead and talk about our final thoughts. What are your final thoughts?
Red Wings are looking good right now. I know it's preseason, but I'm excited to see what comes up, and your boys will be there on opening night for their actual season against Tampa. And let's see how that goes since somebody's goalie, aka one of the best goalies in the league, is out for 8 to 10 weeks. So I think this is going to be very helpful for us. Go Red Wings!
I think so too, buddy. Yeah, thanks for scooping those tickets for us. I Venmo'd you, so have fun with that dirty money. My final thoughts are: go Red Wings. We don't celebrate preseason wins. We are not specific Canadian teams who do that. But yeah, go Red Wings. Nate Danielson making the opening night roster. Ghost Bear looks phenomenal out there. Larkin, DeBrincat, Raymond look phenomenal out there. Seider and Wallman look like they haven't missed a beat. There's a lot that we missed to talk about, but we'll talk about that in the next episode after the final 4 games. 4 more games to go. I think the next game will be on Tuesday. So tomorrow it is Monday morning, like Derek mentioned. So yeah, go Red Wings. I like it so far. Good preseason so far. We're looking good, and hopefully the regular season has good fortune for us as well. But all right, buddy. Let's go ahead and close it out here. So thanks for joining us again. If you are returning, if you are new, thanks for stopping by. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button that's somewhere around here, and the thumbs up button. Turns the frown upside down. Right, Jared? Got it. There we go. Got it. All right, everyone. Yep. Thanks for joining us once again. Make sure you're rating us 5 stars on Spotify if you're on there. Hit the follow button, and until next time, we'll see y'all on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.